Welcome back to Base Sports, everyone. We're going to turn to the game of basketball and a little bit of history lesson for you. I think you'll enjoy it. The University of South Florida has experienced exciting growth in both athletics and academics since its inception. Tony Grier, remember that name? He's a proud former student athlete. He came to USF back in 1979 to be part of the brand new basketball program. Now he's looking back. In his book, A Raging Bull, he chronicles the history of one of the most explosive growth schools in the nation. Roxanne Wilder has more.
USF's been an opportunity for many people, like it was for me. I was happy to come here because it gave me an opportunity. With the Sun Dome being built, what player wouldn't want to come here? So I arrived in 1979 and I never looked back.
As a player, Tony Grier was on the ground floor of USF Basketball. In his book, A Raging Bull, he looks back on the history of the Sun Dome.
It's become a real locker room lately, but it's really nice. I can remember back to year one, the first place I ever met George Steinbrenner was in this room here, the USF locker room. It's taken on a different look though, but the guys still enjoy it.
Over the years, Sun Dome amenities have changed and USF Basketball has grown at a rapid pace.
I think the university decided to build a building just 10 years into the basketball program. They actually broke ground in 1977. So when the building finally opened in 1980, it was a real big thing for everybody. We all came together and we were very proud and happy to have this home on campus for our students, fans, and everybody to enjoy USF basketball.
Today, fans enjoy games, events, and concerts, but controversy initially surrounded the building of the Sun Dome.
Well, whenever you build a building like this, I believe there was $9.5 million for the university to spend on something. Well, that something turned out to be a multi-purpose facility. And of course, I'm pleased, like other players were, that they did this, but you know, that money could have been used in something else. But fortunately for us, they used it to build this building. I think most will say, though, even those who support the football program today, that having this building and having the Sun Dome when we had it and starting off like we did then really helped the university grow and turn the corner. So I have no regrets, like many others, that this building was built back in 1980.
Coach Lee Rose used the new Sun Dome as extra motivation for his players to win on the court.
Well, Lee Rose came in from Purdue. Just in April of 1980, he was in the Final Four, and then he took the job here. So when he came in, part of the sell for him was the Sun Dome being completed. Well, with the delays, there were obviously issues surrounding the delay, maybe hold off a year. All these discussions were going on, and he didn't want any part of that. He wanted the building to open up when it did. So it did open up, but of course, he went to bat for us to get the building open. At the same time, we needed to win games. So we knew that we were all in it together. We all came together as one unit. We said, look, let's make this thing work for the university. I think we did that.
On January 5th, 2006, USF became a proud member of the Big East.
Well, I can tell you, from the very beginning as an independent, USF didn't even have a conference home. Athletic Director Dick Bowers, back in the early 70s, had said that he wanted to get us into a conference. By the mid-70s, we were looking at a conference that was best suited for us, and that just happened to be the Sun Belt. So about a few years later, USF entered the Sun Belt. Now, we've had rapid rise in different conferences, but there's strategic reasons for moving from one conference to the other. Certainly, football played a large part in doing the last two moves that we made with Conference USA in the Big East. But I think it's important for people to understand that having a conference was very important from day one, and the early pioneers knew that and really wanted us to get in. When we got into the Sun Belt, then the Metro, that was kind of the birth of our conference elevation. There, of course, the next two conferences really was a sign of going to the big time. Years ago, we sit here and get our legs taped, our ankles taped, and but it's taken on a different look of its own, and you know, of course, there's multiple trainers. And USF, in terms of academics and just being a powerhouse in research, the magnitude of the growth. I mean, if you put the two together, I'm proud to say that I was a part of one side of it. As we all graduate and we move on in life, we then become more well-known in the community, and we learn more things about our university and some of the efforts that we're trying to achieve. And I think athletics can play a role in that, and we have.
What was once just an idea of progressive visionaries, 25 years later stands proud in the heart of the campus as anticipation of an exciting future. For Base Sports, I'm Roxanne Wilder.
It has been really interesting to watch the growth of this team. And Roxanne, who joins me in the studio now, we were just talking about how young this team is compared to a lot of other college teams around the country. But the history is fascinating.
Oh, the history is fascinating. I found this out, that Coach Krzyzewski of Duke, the first road game he ever played was the same game when the Sun Dome had its first home game and had its dedication game. Wow. So there's a lot of it. We may not acknowledge it now because the program seems young and seems like it has a long way to go, but when you look at where it started in the short amount of time, I mean, comparing it to University of Florida or FSU, when USF has been around as long as those schools, there will be such rich tradition.
And Tony, I know his love for USF basketball. I mean, and I've known Tony all those years. The research that he did on this book, I mean, he's really got some unusual facts out.
He sure did. It was great talking with Tony too, because you could see so much pride that he has being one of the being on the ground floor. And he also told me about going and talking to some of the first coaches at USF, Coach Don Williams, the first basketball coach. And he said that the stories that he had about what a challenge it was to try and go out and recruit, and basically they didn't even have a Sun Dome then. Yeah. So you're trying to get kids to come to your school, talented kids, and explain to them this vision, but you don't have anything tangible to show them. So really realizing that the struggles that go into recruiting when you're just kind of, it's all in your head, you know, how the school's going to turn out. But he said when he left Coach Don Williams' house, he said he had tears in his eyes just because of the nostalgia of it all.
And the fans understand all that when they get out there and they don't win.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, you know, you want to say, okay, we want USF to get more basketball wins. We definitely want more fans there. The fact of the matter is you're always shooting for a higher goal. Right. We're in the Big East. USF, I say I'm a USF alum, as you know. So
that's all right.
They're going in the right direction.
They certainly are, and it's going to be exciting to watch where they go from here. But it's just great to see the growth of all the athletic programs over there. And with Jim Levitt coming in football over there, he's taken that program to new heights, and that pulls everything along with it, too.
Certainly.
So it's great. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed doing that story. Tony's a great person. Now, is the book going to be available all over the place?
Yes, the book's available at aragingbull.com. That's the website you need to go to, aragingbull.com, and you can find out how to order the book. And I think if you go to USF Campus Bookstore, you would find it there as well.
I'll bet you would, too, and I have no doubt it'll be elsewhere, too. All right, well, thank you very much, and I bet you when you read that book, there's going to be some names in there that you're going to remember from the past.